Deep in the heart of East Sussex lies Hellingly Hospital, a place where the walls still whisper secrets from its dark past. Built in 1903, this massive Victorian asylum wasn't just any hospital. It was a place where countless souls were locked away from society, their stories forever etched into its crumbling corridors. The most chilling part? Even today, locals swear they hear screams echoing through the abandoned wings at night. Security guards have reported mysterious footsteps following them, only to turn around and find empty hallways. Some say the spirits of former patients still roam these haunted halls, unable to find their way out, just as they couldn't in life. What really happened behind those imposing brick walls? Perhaps some mysteries are better left buried in time.
Welcome, everybody, to another fantastic episode of Is This Real?
Is this real?
Tonight's episode, as you heard Big Joe say, we are talking about Hellingly Hospital. And, I think this is like our 8th episode of this season so far. 6th, 7th, something like that.
Time flies when you're freezing your ass off virtually.
Yeah, we're deep into season 15. We are balls deep into season 15. And we have one new surprise. Anthony's now a nutsack. He is balder than a baby's ass. He's not the Pope anymore. He now he looks like a screamo Mr. Rogers.
To me, he looks like Jack Begley from Oak Island. I'm sorry, I got to say it. He looks exactly like him. It's not even
okay.
Wow.
But you have I'm JC3. That's Pope Tony, and you have Big Joe.
I'm the Pope.
We're talking about Hellingly Hospital.
The real Pope's finally out of the hospital. Did you hear this?
Yeah.
So they're holding on.
Thank you. You get a little.
The real Pope has just got out the hospital, and like people are shitting their pants. So like everyone's checking the St. Malachi prophecies and seeing how this lines up, which we discussed that on Is This Real? You can go back in our catalog and watch that episode. We thought it was horseshit, but yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting turnaround with the Pope. You know, we thought he was on his way out 2 weeks ago.
Well, this is going to be a miracle. Why not start with him?
Okay, back to Hellingly Hospital before we even started. So let's just put it like this. Dad, we'll start with you. Did you ever hear about this insane asylum before?
I have not. The only time I heard about it is when I got the sheet on what we were doing, for tonight's show. Did a little research, but not much. To me, it's, again, it's one of those things where it's an abandoned place, filled with inexcusable horrors to the patients that were there.
I think Max wants to say something.
I have a lot of
Anthony?
questions about this place. I've never heard of it. This is all new to me. I decided to come in this completely blind tonight because I wanted to learn about what this place is. Because, it has the word hell right in it. It's got to be good. You know what I mean? Like, any time that, you have a spooky word in the name of the thing, it always gives it that heightened level of fucked upness. So I'm eager to hear what this is about.
Well, a little history on it. So it was built in 1903. Hellingly Hospital was designed as a self-sufficient asylum for mental health treatment, embracing the Victorian moral treatment philosophy. Someone searched what that is up because I don't know what that means.
Repeat that.
The Victorian moral treatment philosophy.
I don't know.
I will continue this as Anthony's looking it up. Peak operations at its height, the hospital housed over 2,000 patients, many committed against their will for conditions like postpartum depression, epilepsy, or even moral insanity.
The AI Google overview, our overlord has told me that the moral treatment during Victorian era evolved as a new philosophy in mental health care, emphasizing humane treatment, early intervention, and the use of productive occupations to prevent chronicity, moving away from physical restraints and towards a more holistic approach. Kind of hippie shit is what I'm gathering from this. But again, this is the AI thing that Google told me immediately, so who knows how right it is.
All right. Its decline as psychiatric care evolved and institutions closed, only gradually emptied, Shutting down in 1994, management left behind a decaying structure and dark rumors of mistreatment. Now, the ghost stories I have in like pinpoints right here, but I also have actual stories. We'll go right into it because I think that's what everybody wants to know. Like, I mean, Anthony, if you could search up what the treatment of the patients were as I go into the ghost stories, because I really want to know what that is.
A
That would
haunted
be
hippie hospital. This has got to be fucking good.
the hippy dippy weather man with your hippy dippy weather man. So the ghost stories. So they visitors report seeing dark figures darting through the halls and peeking from behind broken windows. You know, there'll be shadow figures. The screaming ward, the isolation wing where violent patients were confined, is said to echo with disembodied screams late at night. That's terrifying.
Has anybody brought forth any kind of evidence, any recordings, videos?
Well, I mean, probably because I have sources from websites that I didn't look into them myself. I have these sources here, but these are sources that have these quote unquote evidence.
It always happens at night. It always happens at night. Ghosts and shit always happen at night. Just once, I want to be like, this place is haunted. You have to go there like 11:30 in the morning because that's when it's most active. It's just a rule in the spooky doofy realm. Everything has to happen at night.
Okay. The doctor's office. Urban legends speak of a doctor who performed unethical treatments. His office is rumored to have sudden drops in temperature and flickering lights, even with no electricity.
Yeah, just keep in mind, this is the time in which that, like, a woman who is like, I don't know, is like, you got to give her some cocaine and an orgasm and she'll calm down. Like, that was the treatment of these people then. They didn't really know what the fuck they were doing in these mental hospitals, especially in merry old England.
Merry old
That's
England.
true. That's very
Merry
true.
old England. Ghost hunters have recorded, not the actual show, but ghost hunters themselves, paranormal investigators, have recorded EVPs of whispers and footsteps, while some claim to have been pushed by unseen forces. Now, the actual stories. Anthony, did you get anything about how the patients were treated?
Not really, because there's also an active hospital near Hellingly. That's, I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's associated, but it's in that area.
It's Hellingly Acres or something like that.
So there's a lot of stuff that's it's about that place and not this old place we're talking about.
And I do believe they knocked it down. The hospital in 2020 was taken down.
What's your guys' opinion on that? Like, when you say, like, oh, someone goes, oh, I felt touched, something pushed me or touched me, there's absolutely no way to verify that. It's completely 100% subjective. Do you count that shit as evidence or not?
I do.
For me, I do also. I mean, depending, like, if there's one source of someone that says I've been touched and it never happens again, but if you have multiple cases of someone turning around and be like, I was touched by this in this hallway, and then someone else who doesn't know that the other person gives the exact same thing or feels like they were touched in the same hallway or something like that, I can see that gives more credibility than the one-off of someone grazed my hand and you never hear something like that again.
I think
I could fight you on that, but go ahead, Dad.
That's pure spec. I'm gonna kill this fucking dog. That's pure speculation. Okay. It's left up for interpretation. What I do believe, and I don't think it's up for interpretation, is when you get scratched.
Well, yeah, that leaves a mark.
Right. When you sit there and you say, well, I got pushed. Okay, maybe you're just a klutz and you fell. We don't know. If it happens to everybody that goes in there, and it can be documented.
There's evidence for that, though, because there's an actual mark. Like, I don't know, when okay, perfect example for something that's been touched or pulled. The one episode of Ghost Hunters where you actually see Grant's jacket get pulled. Like, people.
Well, right, that's video evidence. That's I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about.
Well, people over the internet were like, oh, there was a string that was attached to his jacket, fishnet, something like that. Yeah, I didn't see anything like that, but.
No, neither did I. But that's physical evidence. I'm talking about somebody like I just did a tour of Eastern State Pen, and when I stepped into the one cell, I felt someone touch my arm, and I was in there by myself. Right? I think that, like, you're right. Multiple people are reporting the same experience. There's got to be something there. However, when you're in a very famous place that's known to be haunted, I think the likelihood of the lies go up. And how often does someone really get touched versus they think they got touched? And that's the big deal.
Well, that's something we've been talking about all season, though.
Yeah.
Everything we've been talking
objectivity.
every episode that we've had is they're famous abandoned places, and these places that people want to go, and people want to go investigate, people want to go view, stuff like that. That doesn't You're going to have the people who sit there and fake a story. It's going to happen no matter, depending, well, not no matter, but depending on the place. You're going to have people who sit there and fake stories because they want to feel included. They want to feel like, and those people who really sit there and like, that was touched, they're going to sit there and do that. It's human nature to fabricate stories when it's a big thing. I do believe that, but we can't sit there and just say, well, everything's a lie coming out of it then.
I know, but I don't think you got to say everything is a lie. But what you have to say is what those stories are not. Those stories are valid in the sense that someone experienced it. They are not valid in the way of trying to determine if a place is truly haunted or not. You can't use them as excuse because there's no way of testing them unless you get, like you said, something where it's physically seen on a camera, someone getting pushed or thrown. That is different. There's video evidence at that point. But if you're trying to determine if there's a ghost there, you cannot use the personal experiences of people as evidence to prove that. It's an interesting thing that you have to consider, but you can't say that this is definite.
I think you can, and I'll finish, and Dad, I'll let you talk. But I think you can, to the point where, because if you have that person who, and I would truly believe the person who goes, huh, that was weird, instead of like you have that other person who jumps to like, oh my God, I was touched. You know what? That's why I like Ghost Hunters over the Zach Baggins show, because Ghost Hunters at the beginning was always, well, we're going to debunk this, and we don't know if it's haunted. Strange things happened, but we don't know if it's haunted, compared to Ghost Adventures, where this is haunted and the devil's hitting here. Like I think there's a difference there, and you have to separate those type of people from each other to try and really tell if a place is haunted or not.
Look, when you're in a situation like that, you're going to use the evidence for yourself and screw anybody else who doesn't believe it. If you want to call it evidence, if somebody pushes me and I'm in a building like that, then to me, that's going to be evidence. It's going to be up for anybody else to accept it as evidence. And I can understand that. You're not going to accept it if it didn't happen to you. It's not something that's tangible. It's not something that's provable. But I mean, it's semantics at that point, because it's only going to be evidence to the person that happened it to. It's not going to, you can't present it to a court of law.
No,
just
I know.
like
I guess I look at this as like when a ghost hunter goes into a place to look for ghosts, I would expect them to take almost a scientific, cold, objective way of doing it. Like you gather evidence, you design tests to experiment on those evidence. Like that's how I look at ghost hunting, from that very like, I want to figure it out, versus the people who are the curious ones, or like they're curious in different ways. It's like it's a thrill to go ghost hunting, or I want to be the one to say I caught something. I'm looking at much more cold, objective than I am anything else.
I can agree with you, but at the same time, if you're going to sit there, it also depends on the person. But if you're going to sit there and have that mindset where everything's going to be fake or everything's not evidence, then nothing's going to be evidence. You know what I'm saying?
No. Subject. What I'm saying is subjective interactions are not evidence because you can't replicate them. If someone captures an orb, you can try and replicate that. You can do something in that room to knock up dust to see if you can catch something similar. You can sneeze, something. You can do something to try and replicate that thing that was caught, or audio evidence or pictures. You can't do that if someone says something touched my shoulder. That's not evidence. I can't replicate it. Therefore, it can't help me prove or disprove that this place is haunted.
I guess you would have to determine it.
It's purely semantical at this point. It's like, look.
All right, back to Hellingly.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that way, but
it's fun. It's funny you mentioned that, because there's additional stories with sources into the Hellingly, like creepy stories, not really ghostly. There's some ghostly stories in here. There's one. It's abandoned records room about patients. One urban explorer recounted discovering a room filled with patient files left behind after the hospital's closing. This unsettling find provided a haunting lens into the personal histories of former patients. Again, creepy, not ghostly.
Like, there's nothing juicy in there. Like, Johnny had tuberculosis. It's like, okay, that sucks to be Johnny.
A paranormal investigator team explored the premises of Hellingly Hospital and reported unexplained noises and sensations. Their experiences have contributed to the site's reputation as a haunted location. A former nurse shared memories of escorting patients to Hellingly Hospital, describing the entire area as unsettling and eerie. These firsthand accounts add a personal dimension to the hospital's reputation. And then more urban explorers. A lot of urban explorers have been to this hospital and just trying to find, I guess, just, looking for something. Explorers who ventured into the abandoned hospital documented their findings, including decaying structures, remnants of medical equipment, an overall atmosphere of desolation, obviously, before it was knocked down. Some reported having the feeling of an eerie presence during their visits. What is your problem?
Tonight at 11, spooky place is spooky. It's like it's falling down. It's in disrepair. If it was clean, if it was like spotless, that's a big red fucking flag. You know what I mean? Okay, let me put it like this, right? You have right on 46 in Fairfield. You have those giant office buildings. Nobody's fucking in them, but they're maintained. Someone comes in and cleans the floors. Someone vacuums. It's a maintained office building, but it's not in use, right? It's fucking weird and creepy, but it's not abandoned. This is a decaying structure that has been left to the elements. And when people go there, they feel spooked. No shit. It's falling down. It's inherent in the, what's going on in the building.
That's great. But you also got to understand that, and I can understand where you're coming from, because all these abandoned places have the same thing going on.
Yeah, they're all the same quality.
Okay. But you can't disavow people that bring back some kind of evidence. Now, I haven't seen any evidence. I haven't looked for evidence. You can't do that. Yeah. You're with like Ghost Adventures. You go and look for it, you're going to find it. Even if it ain't there, it's going to be there.
It's the same reason why it's like people are afraid to go into like a basement or an attic, because it's dark, it's creepy. There's, spiders and shit, and that stuff that like people live in the house. It's not abandoned. It's just, nasty down there. And people still feel senses of desolation and blah, 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 all this bullshit.
You could sit there and say that all of that, and that's true. I mean, it's an abandoned place. You're going to feel desolation. You're going to see crumbling walls. You're going to see everything like that. That check all the boxes of a creepy, abandoned place that has been abandoned for 20 years, and this was a place before they knocked it down. But when they went to there's a difference between seeing that, and look, the people saw shadowy figures. You don't see shadowy figures in regular abandoned places.
Well,
and again, shadow figures is something you can see, is something you can catch on evidence.
I don't care what they tell me. I care what they show me. Show me the evidence. Show me a shadow figure that you caught on video, or a picture that's definitely you can't say that that's something in the way that's causing a shadow. That's a figure that the shadow without explanation is what I'm saying. Show me that shit. Don't tell me, oh, I went through this place and I got really creepy and I saw things. Like, I'm not going to believe you. I need to see it.
That's fine for you, but I understand that, and I really do. But when you have multiple accounts from multiple different people, staff that was working there, that worked there more than anybody else, the same thing from different perspectives, different accounts. You have shadowy figures, you have noises, they hear screams. How do you sit there and because you didn't see it, and be like, they're just hearing things or seeing things.
See, I can put more credence into staff, because staff aren't looking for anything. They're just working.
That's true. I agree with that.
They're there. So if the staff member comes up to me and says, you know what, I was, doing something with patient, whatever, and I got pushed into the wall by an unseen force, I'm going to take that as evidence. Because that to me is these people aren't looking for anything. They're telling you their experience. Now that's going to be up to you to believe it or not. And then again, that's people's interpretation. But if you get enough of those people that are in that building that'll sit there and say, I was pushed, I was touched, I was scratched, I was this, I was that, cold spots in the thing. I'm not talking about urban explorers or ghost hunters. I'm talking about people that had to do a job, had to be in that building, and were taking what they were given. I could take that more credible than a guy with his camera and a bunch of drunk buddies going in there on a Friday night looking for something.
So
that's just the way I'm going to roll with this, because
there's multiple accounts of that, though.
I agree
there's
with
multiple accounts from staff of seeing and hearing these different things.
All right, Joe, you're very low, so I'm going to just think, would you just said there's more accounts from what? The staff?
From staff than anything else.
Okay, then at that point, I got to say it's more credible to me, and I would tend to believe that because, like I said, these people are there on a daily basis. They're living it. They're not going in there for sensationalism. They're not going there to get themselves frightened. They're going in there because they got a job to do, and it's kind of like firemen going to a burning building. There's going to be flames thrown at you.
Well, yeah, no,
I don't know if it's a good analogy or not.
No,
but
I mean, okay, I'll be as vague as possible with this story. It's a friend of mine. When I used to work construction, he told me this story. We were cleaning up a house. We were down Newark, completely empty, just him and I in the house. And he's cleaning the bathroom, and the floor gave out from underneath him, and he fell into the basement. Now, it was
Nice.
Yeah, very small drop. He didn't get hurt, thank God. But he got the wood knocked out of him. And when I was up on the third floor, by the time I found out, I ran to the basement, and he was just getting up, dusting himself off. And he said, dude, I think someone used to live here. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, I thought I saw a family sitting in the corner. I'm like, that's weird. That's very strange you would say that right now after your accident. But yeah, that's very weird. And I don't know if he really did or he didn't, but it's one of those stories. Well, I never experienced anything while I was in that house, and I was in that house alone many times as we were flipping it. It's just one of those things where it's like someone experiences something that doesn't make it haunted. It doesn't give it as like evidence, but it's an interesting thing to kind of put your head on a swivel for. I will say that, you know what I mean? Like, I won't deny his story, but at the same time, I have no way of verifying any of that stuff or recreating without falling through the fucking roof, the floor, that experience. It's interesting.
No, I agree with you. There's two things where one, it adds to the creepiness of Hellingly Hospital. These are stories, and they're not so much, these are stories that haven't been proved, but I'm going to explain them anyway. It's called The Legend of the Padded Cell. According to many chilling tales associated with Hellingly Hospital, is the story of a particular padded cell in Park House in acute villa separate from the main complex. Some visitors have claimed to have experienced intense feeling of unease near this cell, with reports of sudden temperature drops and faint, sorrowful cries echoing through the halls. So again, nothing firm, but experiences from day visitors and stuff like that.
That's going to be up for people to that's going to be up for people to accept or not. You know what I mean? Unless, like Anthony said earlier, unless you're going to show me something, I'm going to sit there and go, it's a story. And you've heard me say this many times. It's just without actual footage, without actual proof, and I mean proof in a physical sense, then at that point, to me, it's stories. I'm not disproving them or I'm not discounting them, but I'm going to take it with a grain of salt and say, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I absolutely believe you.
There we
go.
But
I'm going to tell you, you know what? If this happened to you, you know what? I feel for you and I'm sorry for you, but it's not my believing or not isn't going to matter. What's going to matter is that person's own account. And if that person thinks that person was slapped or hit or whatever, or you heard whispers that you can't replicate, and if that's something in that person's repertoire, you know what? More power to them. That's all. I'm not going to sit there and say, it's not worth me arguing over something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
There's one
now
more.
I feel nauseous.
It's a fictional tale inspired by the hospital itself. The haunted reputation of Hellingly Hospital has also inspired fictional work. In a short story by J.M. Todd, a group of friends investigates the legends surrounding the hospital, only to encounter a terrifying consequence. While a work of fiction, the story draws upon the chilling atmosphere and ghostly tales associated with the abandoned asylum. But yes, that's another work of fiction. What the hell's on your head?
I just put the beanie on. My thoughts were cold.
But yeah, again, this is one of these places where now we can't get any evidence. I don't think there hasn't been any accounts of stuff happening on the grounds since the building's been taken down. But
Which
I think
brings up my point from last week. What happens when a spooky haunted place gets knocked down and you have these residual haunts? They just keep haunting, like, he always haunted the third floor. Now there's some ghost doing the shit in the sky.
I think at that point the ghost is going to be free of that building, but I think it's going to attract itself or attach itself to another structure, something in the neighborhood, something in that area. It might just haunt the grounds. I don't know. I can't tell you.
You know what? That would make for a very interesting premise to a real, like a novel, a haunted, like a scary novel about a kid who's got a monster in the closet all of a sudden. Turns out that, the insane asylum down the street was knocked down, and the creeper who haunted the fucking padded cells of the hospital found himself in little Timmy's room a week later. That would make it for an interesting premise.
You're absolutely right, but there are accounts of stuff like that happening. You just got to do your research. Now, was it that somebody knew that place was getting knocked down, all of a sudden their dishes started rattling? I don't know. But I can tell you that, again, I went into this last week about the Manson murders, that there have been Jay Sebring, Wojciech Frykowski have been heard in a house down the street.
And Ghost Hunters
as well.
Yeah, Ghost Hunters went to that house, and
right.
they caught something.
Yeah, that's where I saw it.
That's got to affect its market value.
Again, why did we? I don't. Whatever. Let's go.
There should be a tab on Zillow that says, like, is this place haunted? You know, if it's check marked.
In some municipalities, you have to reveal.
Yeah, you have
if your house is haunted. Most you don't.
No. You have to reveal if, like, there was an accident or like a death happened in the house. If it was a violent murder, like that, you do have to do. It's like 7 people died in the upstairs bedroom. Like, that's a thing. You know, father went crazy, took a pickaxe, went to Burger King, came back, finished the family. Like, you have to reveal that. That's a police
Not
thing.
sponsored by Burger King, by the way.
But
so
you took the pickaxe and went to Burger King first?
No, you do have to. There are some municipalities that say there might be poltergeist activity. You have to reveal that. You have to do your homework. I'm done.
What commission determines
I didn't write the law, yeah.
What position? Okay, but I'm saying, like, I want to know what county official job is it to go to a house to determine if it's haunted or not, so they can list that on the property asset. What the fuck?
Okay, before you want to grandstand, I don't know. What you can do is you can do your research and find out what municipalities are making that a priority. I'm going to tell you, I know of at least, I've heard of it a few times, and I think right in New Jersey as well. So
I can understand if it's like, the Lizzie Borden house, or for a place where a famous murder took place. That
doesn't make it haunted.
No, I know that, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's something, but not. I don't think
just because a famous murder happened does not make it haunted.
Pause. In Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, New Hampshire, New Jersey, and South Carolina, sellers must disclose a death on the property only if asked. That doesn't mean, in most states, including New Jersey, there's no legal requirement for sellers to disclose whether a house is believed to be haunted.
Okay, so what are the ones that are? You said most. I'm telling you, it's out there. Unless they repealed it again, I don't know. But there was a time that you had to reveal.
According to a state, where'd it go?
All right.
Okay, in 1989, someone bought the Ackley Victorian Mansion for $650,000 without any knowledge that the place was famously riddled with ghosts. His neighbors let him know, and he took them to court to cancel the contract to get his money back. And he was denied his claim in his first trial. The judge said, let the buyer beware. But an appeals court in New York reversed the decision, ordering them to return the man's money in a colorful ruling that included ghostly quotes from Hamlet and the movie Ghostbusters. Whether the source of spectral apparitions seen by the defendant seller are parapsychotic or psychogenic, having reported in presence by both a national publication, meaning that the house was reported on famously, and local press, the defendant is estopped to deny their existence, and as a matter of law, the house is haunted. Because it was reported on, and we know it's a haunted place, you can't sell it if the guy doesn't know it's a haunted place. That's what it comes down to. But according to a state-by-state analysis by Zillow, there are no states that require home sellers to voluntarily disclose alleged ghostly activities on the property before a sale. In fact, only Minnesota ever mentions hauntings in its disclosure law, which frees sellers from having to disclose any non-material facts, including if the home has perceived paranormal activity.
There was there once. I mean, like I said,
only in Minnesota. Only in Minnesota can someone go, can I ask you a question? Is the place haunted? Other than that, there's not one fucking state that requires the seller to say that.
Well,
but there was, so they must have changed it. Some of the states must have got involved in that law. I don't know. I know I read it. I'm not crazy.
Okay.
But anyway, come on, Joe. I'm freezing here. Let's go.
What do you mean, let's go? You fuckers went on a whole rant about what house is haunted and who can buy this. All right, this isn't a fucking episode of one of your fucking things.
Because think about it. This is America, Jack. If you have enough money, you could buy up all the haunted houses and just like charge tours. Like it was sold on Zillow as haunted.
Anywho, do we believe that this Hellingly Hospital is haunted or not? Dad, we'll start with you because I'm getting frustrated.
I don't know. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know.
Or was haunted because it's not a thing anymore.
It's not there, right? Again, it comes down to where there's a lot of factors. If you're getting these stories from the people that used to work there, then yes, I'm going to say I believe what they say. Because again, you have a place that's riddled with death. You don't know what's going on the other side. No one knows. However, if the ghost hunters are going in there looking for a cheap thrill, grain of salt time. That's all.
Pope.
I'm going to say probably not. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what I think now, but like you can't go and verify or test it anyway. You can't, like, it doesn't exist anymore. So you just got to review whatever evidence that was out there. You can't test it anymore, but you got to go, it's kind of interesting. And then go to the next place that is haunted, that still is in existence.
I'm like in between both of you, It's a...
You're the cream in our Oreo.
Fuck you. It's a weird thing because, again, you can't verify any of this anymore because it's not there anymore. So we can't sit there and I would really would be interested to see if there's anything that comes out of the grounds that it's on. If any of those, I believe there's condos there now or a village at some point. If any of those, buildings have any activity that, that people sit there, like if you turn around and like, oh, is the doctor here, or is this a doctor that used to work there that's now dead, or a patient or something like that? That would be interesting to see.
Do you remember back in, I guess it was season 1, season 2, maybe it was just you and I, and we did a show about the Essex Sussex house down the shore?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the reports where these people were, they weren't ghost hunters. You had people that were going in the building that were there to rebuild the building. The tools go missing. Machinery goes on by itself. Stuff like that. That's the people I tend to believe more than anybody going there trying to capture something.
Yes. I mean, machinery, there's ways to explain that. I mean, when they were filming Jurassic Park, the giant T-Rex they built sometimes would turn on. They didn't understand why. But the island of Hawaii isn't haunted. You know what I mean? Like, who knows why?
That's a way to shit myself.
Yeah, I know. Like they were like, well, so it's like it's a machine. But tools going missing, that is interesting. It's like, you pile all your shit in the corner, and if you walk in, it's behind the door, and you got to push them out of the way. Who put them there? That's the ones that fuck me up the most. When people say, "Oh yeah, it was behind the door," like someone pushed it up against the door.
Let me ask you a question, not related to this thing, but do you believe like movie sets and stuff can be haunted? I mean, The Exorcist, a lot of shit happened.
Yes.
Yeah, fires that were started inexplicit.
We've talked about this.
Yeah, we've talked about this, and we've had an episode on this.
Even the idea of like a movie can be haunted, like the Twilight Zone movie. 3 people died making that. You know what I mean? Like The Crow, someone died making it. Yeah, well, every one of these Mission Impossible movies, there's bets out in Vegas if Tom Cruise is going to do some stunt that finally takes him out.
Yeah, he's a crazy bastard.
Well, let's give a little preview for next week's episode. Next week's episode, we're back in the States. We are actually very close to home. The Bannerman's Castle in the Hudson River in New York.
Yeah.
I've seen that thing.
Yes, apparently there is.
Will they let us broadcast from it?
I don't think so.
Can we go there and do the episode?
My ass.
I mean, you can ask, but I don't think they will.
You're going to need one hell of an extension cord. Fuck that.
I mean, just give it a little thing. And this
I don't believe we'll go in the fucking building.
No. To me, it's more of all the you gotta set everything up and break everything down.
Hold on.
I don't feel like doing that.
No. This is where Anthony says fuck this and fuck that, because the legends and the hauntings of this will give just a little preview of it. Apparently, it was called Pelopel Island by the inhabited Native Americans. Okay. And the tribes considered the island inhabited by hostile spirits, leading to its reputation of a haunted island. Dutch sailors later added to the mystique and tales of goblins and other supernatural entities, but that's
not goblins.
That's a different thing.
In fucking goblin territory, son of a bitch.
But yeah, Native American tribes believed this was
zombies. Where the fuck are all the zombies?
Hostile spirits that inhabited this island. So that's interesting.
Okay, do me a favor. See if you could find the indigenous people's lore about why they think the
You
island
can't
is
just say
haunted.
Native Americans.
Indigenous people, Native Americans, the cocksuckers who lived there first, whatever you want to call them. Try to find out why
Indigenous
they thought.
people.
Why did they think the island was spooky? I want to know why. Like that's got to be an
Well-
interesting. It's got to be an interesting thing. You know,
yes,
it's
but
like
that is next week's episode, and after next week's episode, we only have one episode left this season. So,
and
but I
hopefully by
already-
then we'll be back in the booth where it's warm.
Yeah. We probably could have done tonight, but it was such a late start. I mean,
yeah, no, but I've planned out next season already, and I think it's going to be an awesome one. And I think we've done something like this, but we'll talk about it in the season finale.
Cool.
before we go, I just want to say, our other podcasts that we have here on we have two more podcasts that we got. We got the one that Anthony and I did, Here It Is Stupid, which we're about to do our third episode in a couple of days. But you also have the Moms After Midnight. I want a big shout out to those girls. They're doing a great job over there. Kat and the company over there. I really enjoyed watching that podcast. So, great job, girls.
Yes. So we'll catch everybody next week for the Betterman's Castle episode. We'll see you next week, guys. Say good night.
Good night,
Adios,
guys.
motherfuckers.
And remember, everybody, question everything. Good night.